The towers of Sandton glimmered like a crown above Johannesburg's restless night. Within one of those towers, behind glass walls and a view that stretched to the faint shimmer of Soweto, a man sat in silence. His office was spotless, lit only by the glow of 3 computer monitors. On the screen were numbers, billions of rand, meticulously arranged, showing portfolios stacked with growth so perfect it looked like destiny itself. To any client, to any regulator who might peek, it was an empire of stability. To him, though, it was nothing more than smoke. The silence was broken by the shredding machine in the corner. Piles of once confidential papers shrank into confetti under the teeth of the machine. Behind him, a leather chair lay abandoned, a half-finished glass of brandy trembling as if holding the weight of years of lies. He leaned closer to the screen, his tie loosened, his jacket folded neatly on the desk. His eyes flicked from one portfolio to another, but the illusion no longer comforted him. Outside, the lights of Johannesburg glittered indifferently, as if the city had already prepared itself for the morning's revelations. The empire of ash was about to collapse. South Africa in the late 1990s was alive with energy. The nation was remaking itself, its markets opening wider than ever before. For young professionals with ambition, Johannesburg was a playground of possibility. It was here that the fraudster first carved out his reputation. He had grown up far from the glass towers, in a modest suburb where money was scarce but ambition plentiful. Those who remembered him from school spoke of a boy who treated arithmetic as language, who manipulated numbers with an instinct few could follow. At university, he carried himself with the certainty of someone destined for more. He dazzled professors with models of finance that seemed too neat, too assured, but always correct. By the time he joined a respected investment firm in Sandton, colleagues whispered that he was one of those rare talents who simply understood money. Clients adored him. He wasn't just a man in a suit selling returns. He was charismatic, persuasive, capable of making strangers feel like they'd known him for years. He listened to pensioners talk about their retirement dreams as attentively as he discussed risk with corporate CEOs. To each, he spoke their language, and to each, he promised safety with growth. At first, the numbers were real. Early investments yielded steady returns. He worked hard, genuinely hard, building trust brick by brick. But the markets were fickle, and the hunger for perfection grew. When one quarter faltered, he concealed the truth. When the next one failed to shine, he polished the figures. By the third, the pattern was established, not by accident, but by decision. The lie was small at first, but like fire, it grew with oxygen. Soon, he left the firm to start his own boutique investment company. The logo gleamed in silver, the offices smelled of fresh marble polish, and the receptionist greeted clients with the warmth of an old friend. Investors arrived by the dozen, lured by word of mouth. "He always delivers," they said. And deliver he did. Year after year, he produced numbers that never wavered, never dipped, never disappointed. In a country where fortunes were volatile, he offered certainty. It was certainty built on nothing but promises. By the early 2000s, his company had become a jewel of Johannesburg's financial scene. From the glittering bars of Sandton to the wine estates of Stellenbosch, his name carried weight. Politicians boasted of knowing him. Charities praised his donations. Families entrusted him with their futures. The office itself was a performance. Polished marble floors reflected chandeliers imported from Italy. Walls displayed modern South African art. Bold, vibrant canvases chosen to impress without alienating. His boardroom was a theater of confidence. Polished wood, gleaming glasses of still water, and screens that displayed charts of unbroken growth. Employees adored him. To his staff, he was not only a boss but a mentor, generous with praise, careful with criticism. Some suspected the numbers were too good to be true, but the salaries were fat, the bonuses fatter, and suspicion melted under the glow of comfort. Investors doubled down. Pension funds poured in millions. Corporations placed reserves in his care, and ordinary families handed over their savings. Every quarter, the statements showed growth. No matter the market, whether global crises or local crashes, his funds were immune. He purchased a mansion in Sandhurst with lawns manicured like a museum. His wife, statuesque and always immaculately dressed, became a fixture in Johannesburg's social pages. Their children attended elite schools, chauffeured in sleek black cars with tinted windows. Holidays were spent in Cape Town penthouses overlooking the Atlantic, or in safari lodges where privacy was guaranteed. But behind the glamour, the scheme demanded constant feeding. Returns had to be paid, and when new money didn't flow fast enough, he scrambled. He borrowed from one investor to pay another, a cycle that grew hungrier by the year. Some asked questions. A young financial journalist began circling, suspicious of numbers that never fluctuated. A regulator demanded more transparency. He smiled, deflected, dazzled. "We hedge risk in ways others cannot understand," he explained smoothly. The critics were drowned in the sea of those who wanted to believe. South Africa was entranced. And for a time, so was he. It ended not with thunder, but with a phone call. One of his largest clients, a Durban shipping magnate, demanded a withdrawal, hundreds of millions of rand. 4 years, withdrawals had been small, easily covered by new deposits. But this time, the amount was too large, too sudden. He stalled, inventing excuses, regulatory delays, foreign transfers, paperwork. The magnate grew impatient. When the demand became public, whispers turned to panic. Investors called by the dozens, then by the hundreds. They wanted their money back. He could not pay them all. He could not pay even half. The illusion cracked. Regulators swarmed the office, seizing computers, freezing accounts. Employees stared in disbelief as their world collapsed overnight. The mansion in Sandhurst was raided. Luxury cars were loaded onto tow trucks. His wife fled from cameras as journalists swarmed the gates. The children, once chauffeured, now avoided school altogether. Victims came forward, pensioners who lost everything, churches stripped of donations, families whose inheritances had vanished. Politicians who once praised him distanced themselves with speeches of outrage. He was arrested at dawn. The cameras caught him in handcuffs, his once immaculate suit crumpled, his expression hollow. The trial that followed revealed the scale of the fraud. Billions of rand lost, lives ruined, trust shattered. Witness after witness described betrayal. The young journalist who had once questioned him sat in the front row, her notebook filled with vindication. In the end, he was sentenced to decades in prison. His empire dissolved into ashes, his name a curse in South Africa's financial memory. The empire was gone, but the wreckage remained. Families who had trusted him faced retirement in poverty. Charities closed their doors. Universities cut scholarships once funded by his donations. For South Africa, the scandal was more than financial. It was cultural. It revealed the dangers of blind trust in figures who seemed untouchable. It showed how easily charm could be mistaken for integrity. In the end, the glass towers of Sandton still glimmered at night. But for many, their light was no longer a beacon of promise. It was a reminder of the shadows that had once lived within them.